What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're taking a look at Modern Warfare 3, the beta here, and I'm not going to get too deep into things until the game really launches, but I still thought it would be neat to go ahead and take a look at performance here on the Steam Deck for Windows, seeing as how this isn't running on SteamOS, and neither did the past Call of Duty games. So we'll get into it here just a little bit. Battlenet here on Windows 11 for our launcher. I'll be using MSI Afterburner for my performance overlay in the video. And then, as always, for Windows 11, I'll be using Handheld Companion for emulating my controller and some of my shortcut hotkeys and that type of thing here. So highly recommend using this if you have Windows on your Steam Deck. I have a video on the channel if you want to check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the game here. I'm not going to get crazy, like I said, but we are at 720p, 60 FPS full screen here. And as far as quality of the graphics, everything's basically low. We'll look at FSR 1 first, but I'm pretty much going to stick with 2.1 that they have implemented here. And then, like I said, everything else is pretty much low for the most part. And I do have texture streaming turned off to help me out a little bit here. And yeah, so nothing too crazy here. And then field of view and everything I left just as default. Now, getting into the maps that we have for Arena here, it's really going to depend on where you're at in the game, of course, for performance and what kind of frame rate we're going to hold on to. But larger map like this, rendering a bit more, I would play anywhere in the 40s to 50s. It might hit 60 sometimes in here, which really wasn't too bad. And frame times hold pretty well. The game feels pretty smooth to play, so it really wasn't too bad. FSR 1 was doing a decent enough job. However, image quality for FSR 1 over 2.1, of course, is a lot different, and I really didn't want to stick with it. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to FSR 2.1 here, and performance really doesn't change as much as it did in the past Call of Duty game. Maybe a couple of frames per second different here or there. It's really basically the same experience for me, however, better image quality. And actually, even though FSR 1 used to get me higher performance in Modern Warfare 2, I almost feel like FSR 2 is doing a better job for performance and picture quality, at least in the beta here for Modern Warfare 3. So that's kind of interesting. We'll just have to see how that pans out when the actual game comes out. We can look at more performance. Now, going over to one of my favorite maps in here, which is Rust. Performance is, of course, a bit better. We get a higher frame rate. We could easily lock 60 FPS here. It's a smaller map and a little bit easier to run, and this is the same kind of idea we would get with Modern Warfare 2 on Windows for Deck as well. Depending on size of map, how many players and all that would really depend on the performance, but this map particularly felt great to run around and play. Super smooth and snappy, even with the controls here, even trying to record on the deck here on the PC. This was still really fun to play and snappy. Definitely one of my favorite maps still, so that was great. But getting into Ground War, which I won't stay here too long, but yeah, very reminiscent of Ground War in the past Call of Duty last year, with pretty janky performance, and you would pretty much have to cap yourself to 30 FPS if you wanted a stable 33.3 milliseconds on your frame times to kind of give it a smoother experience. But other than that, yeah, it plays in the 30s and 40s depending, and it can get pretty janky at times depending on where you're at and what's going on. And like I said, this is kind of to be expected. I didn't expect a lot of better performance out of Ground War. It suffered before with this, and drivers are even older. Valve hasn't given us anything updated, so we're still on the older drivers from earlier in the year and everything. So I was actually surprised that the game was playing as well as it was here for the beta on the Steam Deck with Windows 11. I expected to have more trouble, but it really wasn't too bad. Ground War especially was an issue for me, but the other maps and playing smaller maps and playing regular modes felt great, and I think that's where the Steam Deck and Windows 11 is really going to work out the best. But we'll see. I'll be testing this game out when it launches, and we'll see how performance is in a little bit more areas and get a little bit more into it. But I thought it would be interesting to take a look here at the beta. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.